Hello and welcome to Gagro.net. This is Gagro Live on Facebook. So the idea of having a military base, a lethal weapon, mobile, not permanent, like building church or things like that. So this idea I had a long time ago. But obviously, it's not easy to implement or make suggestion. So let me talk about this in multidimensional things, how other people do or don't do, and Armenian success and failure. In 1915, when Talat Pasha and War Pasha, they systematically massacre 1.5 million Armenians, and of course the Greeks and Assyria. We didn't go to the people of the world, said, come and help us find those people. Now, Armenian put together a task to go find those criminals and neutralize them. And they did it very successfully. And they were even caught, took them to the German courts. And German court says, sorry, you are a criminal. So that's one. Secondly, as you know, in 1915, Armenians, they were all either orphans or refugees scattered around the world, mostly in Middle East, in France, some in America. And also the Russians and the Turks, which always they do this throughout their history, they divided Armenia, the eastern Armenia, the Russians took over, which is the communist, and the west, the Turks. So basically Armenians disappear from the face of the earth. They didn't exist. Only Armenian knew they exist, but nobody else knew that. And so it took for a while until in 70s, those children and grandchildren of those orphans and refugees grew up with the pain of their parents, their grandparents, their mothers' tears. So some Armenians, young Armenians, those children and grandchildren of those orphans and refugees took everything in their hand. They start blowing Turkish embassies. And that not only open up the world to remember what happened, also the Turks. Most of the Turks had no idea Armenian genocide because they had this dictator Ataturk. He changed their language, their alphabet from Arabic, Islamic alphabet to Latin alphabet. So the Turk were not able to read Ottoman archive because they were all written in Arabic. And also he completely, about thousands of villages and towns changed their name and forced everybody change their name to a Turkish name. And among many atrocities he committed. So Armenians nobody knew about it. But then after blowing up a couple of embassies, the Turks wake up, what is this? Did we do this? So this is the debate among even Turks. Even today, thousands of their intellectuals recognize these things happen. But of course, the government, they don't. Okay? So that was second things Armenian did themselves. They didn't go ask another country or any other help. They did. So that was two things Armenian did. Until Soviet Union collapsed, which is most people think those things never happen. The world constantly changed, So the communist collapse, Armenia become independent. So now we had Artsakh situation. Again, Armenians with their shotguns took over Azerbaijani mighty army and liberated Karabakh. So those three things Armenian did by themselves. They didn't ask anybody, okay? And they did it. And so even this Armenian genocide recognition, it's okay, but it ain't gonna do it. So this is why we need some military force for Armenian in exile. I know it's a hard thing to suggest because Armenians somehow they can understand, like really this is not possible. How could be, how can we do? Yeah, it is possible. There's nothing impossible. So this will be the third or the fourth things Armenian has to take this task on it. When I say about church building it, we have churches, thousands of years of churches in Western Armenia, from Akhtamar to Ani and anything in between. That's what we need to go liberate, not just build new ones somewhere else in the world. I mean, perfect example is Bangladesh, or I don't know, is it Bangladesh or someplace that there was Armenian and there was nobody left. There was one guy and he died. Now, who knows who owned the church? Why do we need to spend millions of dollars on church? A guy in San Diego died. He left $18 million. He says, go build church. So this is why let me talk the other dimension, how other people are failure. They couldn't accomplish as much as Armenia. The Kurds. The Kurds in Turkey, for 40 years, all they are doing, killing soldiers, killing policemen. That's all they did. They think by killing the policemen and soldiers, they can have Turkish sympathy. They never attacked any Turkish economic centers. They never blow up any pipelines. They barely did any of that stuff. Basically, they just kill soldiers and policemen. And that's why 40 years they got nowhere. You can't do it that way. Let's talk about Israel and Palestine. About 40 years ago, I bought a division of a company. It was a Jewish company I bought from them. And so we become like friends. We go out, we drink and all that stuff. One day I was working late. He was there late. And so I went, because we were in the same building. So I went to visit him in a night. It was 9 o'clock. So I go up, the door was closed. So I knock a door. He opened in the conference room. He was sitting in a conference room, not an office. So I walk in and I see on this conference table envelopes all over the place, $10 in it, $5, $20, $100. And I said, his name was Jack Waxman. I said, Jack, what is this? And he said, well, Wally, this is Jewish people every month send us, and we collect them, we send them to Israel. See? So that's how they built. So when you look at Israel, they have all this F-16s and 747 jets. There is no way 5 million people could manage have this and fight the war. It's all from diaspora Jewish people helping. Of course, lately they took over, they have lots of congressmen and women in, so they're United States government. Last time they give them $28 billion. But it started with the Jewish in diaspora help. But if you look at the other hand, the Palestinians, they don't do that. In fact, United States give more money to Palestinians than Palestinians themselves in a diaspora sent to Palestine. That's our facts. So you have these two people, which is, the Kurds and the Palestinian in that region. They really just talk, fight, and protest, and kill soldiers and kill policemen. You can't get nowhere. You need to hit the economic targets. you know. And so Armenians, let me go back to this Air Force stuff. I don't know how many Armenians are there in the world. I haven't seen any statistics. Some says there is 8 million, 5 million, I don't know. But my calculation is, if there is 5 million Armenian, and every Armenian give $10, that's $50 million a year. And that buys you lots of military Air Force base you could build. But if there is 5 million, if the Armenian will contribute. See, for example, F-16, the new one, are $14-15 million. But we don't need new one. United States, they use them for 1 year for training, stuff like that. They sell them. We could buy them for $5 million. $50 million buy you 10 F-16. In 10 years, we'll have hundreds of airplanes. And all Armenians need to do is get a couple of people together, get in the plane, go to Greece, talk to Greece government, say, this is what we want to do. We need your help. Give us little land so we could buy those stuff and train our people. And of course, you're going to have some kind of treaty with the Greece government that if there was attack on Greece, this military force will be used to help Greece too. But I want to also make it clear that this military force will have nothing to do with existing Armenia. Because existing Armenia, they are engaged in political problems. For 30 years, they could not fix. So we don't want to get involved in that. This will be exclusively for Western Armenia, liberating Western Armenia. So we'll buy the planes, we will buy the drones, the missiles, the training Armenian people. That's what we're going to do. That's what is the goal is. But where there is 5 million Armenian? I don't know. Or were they gonna willing to pay $10? I'm sure lots of them would do. But you need some intelligent people that put this organization together. All you need maybe 5-10 people maximum. You don't need more. And this military base will not be under control of political or religious people. It will be totally independent. All they're going to do is build, and train, exercise, all that stuff. And so, Armenians have generals, from soldiers to generals in all countries' militaries, in U.S. and other places. We could solicit their help, what kind of those warplanes we buy, and how do we buy them, where we buy them, what we need. Of course, we are not in military business. We have just making this suggestion. They could give us those ideas. And we could hire some Armenians, a young Armenian, to go to Greece to get trained on those equipment. And it's doable, very simple, but only thing is there 5 million Armenian? Are Armenian willing to give? Or they're going to keep saying, Che chalna liki. That's, as long as we convince Armenians, yes, al-naliki, that could solve. So, I could see around, I travel around, I talk to people, I interview people. They spend so much money in so many other things. Really doesn't benefit us. Propaganda doesn't help us. It's over. Like when we have something like this, not only the $10 every Armenian gives. In fact, Assyrian could give, because we could be a help to them too. But when we have people like, say, Kirk Krikorian give 100 million to make a movie, he could say, you know what, here is 50 million, you go make movie, 50 million will send to the military. If somebody tomorrow is dying, he has a wealth, he could say, I'm giving this much. So when you have some base and you show them, this is not going to be a secret or anything, it's just going to be there. Let me say this little bit Turkish dimension. Since 2000 I've been writing and talking about the Turks. And let me tell you this, the Turks are very fearful people. They are not what they talk about it. Yes, they go there, invade this and that, but as you could see, throughout their history, they always use terrorists. And that is their biggest weapon everywhere. So by doing this, when Turkey know the Armenians are doing something different, that will send a chill into Erdogan's spine. And they're going to think differently. We're going to play Turkish game. We know them now. We know them since 1915, how they play the game and how they manipulate the West and U.S. You know that after World War II, they fooled the Americans to put a military base in there because they were saying, oh, Russia, and it's coming. They're going to come to Turkey and then go to America. And that's how the Russians put ballistic missiles in Cuba, and that created Cuban Missile Crisis. That was played that game, and then they got in NATO the same things. Oh, Russia is bad, But you could see now Russia is their friend. So we have to learn and play the Turks game. So that's from Turkish dimension. And the reason I say Armenian success, because everything Armenian they did by themselves. Like, look at Iraqi Kurdistan. For years, they fought the Iraqis. They could not accomplish anything. And they have this paper tiger called Peshmerga, never win anything. Even when Erdogan sent his terrorist Islamic State to take over Mosul, and when they came about 8 miles from Erbil, and 2 o'clock in the morning, they were calling U.S., come on, send the military, bomb those guys, we're going to lose it. So United States created this autonomous region for the Kurds. And then you have Kosovo, right? Again, the Turks brought in those terrorists called Kosovo Liberation Army, KLA, and they train them, they send them to Serbia to create atrocities. And of course, the West, we have to go. So Bill Clinton, the evil guy, he goes in there, he destroyed Christian country, Serbia. 2 months they were bombing Serbia to create this Turkish Islamic Republic called Kosovo. And those same people that were leader of that KLA, now finally international court they put him on trial, and he was supposed to come to U.S. just a few days ago. He canceled it. So they indicted him and 8 other people. He is the president now of Kosovo. So he is indicted. All right? So this is why America created Kosovo. America created this autonomous region for the Kurds, right? But Armenians, they did themselves. Karabakh, nobody cared. In fact, Russia was a problem because Armenian, they wanted to liberate Nakhichevan. They wanted to go all the way to Baku. But Russia says, no, don't do this. And every time Armenia want to go forward, Russia stop them. And so this is why Armenian, if they put their things together, they do it. And they do it themselves, and they're proud of it. 3 things they did by themselves, no help from anybody. And so this is what the reason I'm saying this military force, we're going to build it. It's going to be very lethal, has all the mobile. It will be mobile. I'm repeating this. We could move it from anywhere. Like say if Greece decided don't want it, we could move it to somewhere else. And so this is why we have to build it. We have to train those pilots, and day in, day out, and hopefully the money will come in to keep those things going, because there is a lot of overhead. Those missiles and training and exercise, it takes long time. So this is why we appreciate your input. Whether you agree, disagree, I'm sure lots of people have different ideas to put into this. So this is my way of suggesting. It's my opinion, and if people agree with it, great. If you don't agree, well, there's nothing I could say or I could do, but we need our fourth plan. Fourth plan has to be very lethal, very powerful, and that, you see, like, for example, right now, Turkey is in Libya, Turkey in Syria, Turkey in Kurd. If we had those weapons, we could go fight with those people. We could, but we don't have anything, And this is why I want this to be completely separate from Eastern Armenia, because we don't want to give Turkey an excuse saying Eastern Armenia is doing this. We want them, they know this is the orphans, the refugees, grandchildren's military. This is nothing to do with Eastern Armenia. We have to make it clear that Turks understand that we doing this because we want our grandfathers, grandmothers' land back. Okay? And we're not going to go beg other people, other governments. It ain't going to help. We tried that. We got to do it ourselves. And we could do it. All we do, it's your $10. We'll build the very powerful military base that we could use when time comes. Because you never know. World constantly change. You just don't. How about if tomorrow Egypt attack Turks in there? Great opportunity for us. But we don't have anything now. We can't do it. That's why it's very urgent, very important that we build military for us, not anybody else. So no place is better place than our best friend. Greeks are, I was there last year. I was impressed how great the Greek people are. And I'm sure they will not have any problem of that, doing it, because probably will help them, their economy too. When you have that and spending money there and all that stuff. All right, so that's for today, and I'm sure we're going to talk more of this once we hear from people, their suggestion, their ideas, whether it works, doesn't work. We'll come back, we'll talk. This is going to be the topics, Armenian in Exile Force. Remember that. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you in other episode. Have a nice day.